Good afternoon, my name is Niko House, host of the political radio show Mikasa Sukasa, and I urge you all to donate to our One Follow $1 campaign, where we will show the mainstream media that we will support those who will bring us the truth. We are almost to our goal of $1,000 by the end of July, and I would greatly appreciate it if you would help us reach that goal. Also participating in this campaign is Tim Black, Hard Bastard, H.A. Goodman, and obviously myself, and you can find those links below if you would like to help contribute to theirs. So there is a huge part of this Russia scandal that has gone largely untalked about, and I can understand why, because it's a very convoluted situation. So we've heard a lot about Trump Jr. We've heard a lot about Trump supposedly colluding with Russia. We've heard a lot about this dossier that kind of got pushed to the back, and there's a reason for that. I'll go into it in a few minutes. But what we haven't heard a lot about is the man who kind of agitated the entire conversation of the Trump-Russia collusion, and the person who first he said intentionally, but then he later said it was unintentional. He unintentionally released the dossier. And that is former MI6 agent Christopher Steele. Now, Christopher Steele was actually hired by a group named Fusion GPS, which is a consulting firm. And Fusion GPS was initially hired by the Republican Party to fund opposition research on Trump. However, obviously, Trump won, so there was really no need for them to continue to research. But going forward, the Democratic Party ended up taking over the payments and then obviously hiring Fusion GPS, who eventually hired MI6 agent Christopher Steele, former MI6 agent Christopher Steele, who eventually collected information about Trump's connections to Russia. Now, what is often not talked about is why Christopher Steele was chosen. Christopher Steele was chosen because he's a former spy who resided in Moscow and has significant connections to Russia. Now, what makes this entire situation so significant is the fact that it was widely critiqued by many on the left and even those on the right that Trump Jr. was absolutely insane for attempting, not even really being successful, but just merely attempting to take opposition research from someone who just happened to speak Russian. However, the Democratic Party hired a shadow consulting firm who don't even have the details of what they do on their website. You have to email them in order to essentially get any type of information about what they do. But they hired a consulting firm who literally went and hired someone who was a spy who specialized in Russian affairs. And obviously that his ties to Russia are still legitimate, or else he wouldn't even be able to collect the bits of information that he supposedly had. Now, whether or not this information is even true, whatever little information in the dossier there was, we do know that now Steele is actually in the middle of a lawsuit because of one of the people who were implicated and who the dossier said actually hacked the DNC server. And his name, I don't want to butcher his first name, but his last name is Gubarov, who is a CEO of a tech firm there. It's either Gubarchev, Gubarev. It's something to that extent. All my Russians, I hope you can correct me, but that's how I rate it. However, later, or recently actually, Christopher Steele has actually admitted that, well, the information was less than corroborated, and that there are a lot of unverified facts, and that he even said that he didn't even mean to release the dossier into the public, that it was actually supposed to go to John McCain, which is huge because I did not know he was still involved in the opposition research of Donald Trump, but it's not surprising given what we know about his relationship with Donald Trump. So essentially what we have here is that Trump Jr. had a chance to gather opposition research that turned out to be, fallacious. It wasn't an actual chance. It was a setup. And it's been pretty much confirmed that the attorney, the Russian attorney, actually is a big Hillary Clinton fan, is a enemy of Putin's administration, and has even been known to be seen at some of Clinton's rallies. So it's more interesting to me how they were allowed to literally hire someone who specialized in Russian affairs as a spy through a shadow consulting firm. And it was no big deal to anyone. However, and mind you, they hired this consulting firm right after. So this was right after the Republican primary. They took over the payments. They haven't been specific about it, but I'm sure we'll figure it out during this court case that Gorbachev has opened against them. But it was around the same time that the Russia allegations started. They essentially were trying to find information to fit the story, not actually trying to find any legitimate information. And the fact that they had to go out of their way to hire a private investigator probably means they never had any information in actuality to begin with. This is, like I said, one of the hugest stories. Christopher Steele right now is under a lawsuit because the person he said was implicated in the DNC hack was not. He's very adamant about that. And also, the DNC could clear Christopher Steele's name by releasing the servers, and yet we aren't seeing that, are we? Because, well, nobody hacked the DNC servers, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm absolutely positive that if we actually gave the DNC servers over to the FBI, that is exactly what we'd see. So in that scenario, you would have Christopher Steele getting sued in his private investigation firm sued. BuzzFeed is also in the process of being sued by the same gentleman, and then everything would be blown out of the water. And you add that to the fact that even Christopher Steele said that some of those facts were less than verified that were in a dossier. It ultimately all comes back to the same thing. We are being played for fools. We are being insulted, and people are being taken for a ride for political agendas, personal agendas, and everything in between. The truth of the matter is, although most of us do not like Trump as a person, he is the antithesis to the establishment. And as he is the antithesis to the establishment, he is a constant thorn in their side that they cannot wait to get rid of. And they've, ironically enough, whereas Republicans used to always call the left the communists, it's turned into the opposite, weirdly enough. But I would love to know your thoughts and hear what you think about this. If any of you all have any new information, please feel free to drop some in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching, and always remember, find your balance. And donate to our $1 Follow $1 campaign. Let's make a statement. Peace.